Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast. And today I've been joined by Glynis Barber. Glynis is an actress, but she's also got an amazing platform called Ageless by Glynis Barber. It's a YouTube channel and a website where she shares all her favourite products. In today's podcast, we talked about intermittent fasting, diet, how to live a great lifestyle. We touched on her career and some of her absolute hero products, which aren't to be missed. I'm dying to get my hands on them and I can't wait. So enjoy today's podcast. Hi, Glynis. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad you decided to come on the podcast. Since I've met you, I honestly have been following all your stuff and I just think we are kindred spirits, to be honest. You're a woman after my own heart. You seem to kind of follow the same lifestyle as me, which is just lovely to read about, really, because I think some people think I'm a bit of an extremist. But actually, when I look at you and I think, my God, how amazing do you look? And I'm not just going to say just for your age. You look incredible and you always have done throughout your career and the generations. And I know that does not come just by chance. This has come from, some significant probably sacrifices on your part and actually actively looking after yourself.
Absolutely. And, I made a choice. I sort of found a healthy way of living probably in my sort of mid to late 20s. And I really don't know what happened to me. I just, from just eating whatever, I got really interested in organic foods. And I mean, I have been laughed at over the decades. I mean, everybody's come around now because everything I was doing or trying to do for so long, nobody else was doing. So people did laugh at me and they were saying, such a waste of time. And I remember thinking, yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see in a couple of decades. We'll see how I'm doing and we'll see how you're doing.
You're absolutely right. I think in your 20s, pretty much everyone can get away with, not having the best diet. And when you get to your 40s, that gap is widening. And then when you're in your 60s, it's like two different lives.
Well, exactly. And I remember a functional doctor saying to me once, he said, when you're young, your body is so resilient and it can put up with so much. And he said, you have a window until you're about 30 or absolute latest 35. You can get away with pretty much anything. And then it all starts coming home to roost.
You're absolutely
right.
So
at about 35, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually always say to women, please, if you are over the age of 35, it's got to be now. It's really, you've got to be weight training, resistance training, you've got to look after your body, stability, mobility, stretching. And then, I think that's when most women start getting interested in their health because that's the point when they know they're going to need something. They start getting interested in hormonal health.
Yeah, absolutely. Because 35, for women, it might be that they already have children or they might be thinking definitely of starting to have children. They're usually in the middle of a career as well. So women tend to be juggling a lot of balls in their mid-30s, which can be pretty stressful as well. And but the great thing, I think, about the body and health is how resilient the human body is and how I'm a great believer in never think it's too late. If you've not led a healthy lifestyle, it's never too late to start because your body will thank you no matter what age you go for it. And, you could be in your 60s, 70s or 80s. I mean, I have literally seen people turn their lives around and completely change their health and their fitness levels over the age of 70. Or take up sports in their 90s. I mean, all you have to do is go on YouTube and you can see people who, somebody decides to take up tennis at 92 or yoga, so it's never too late. And I think that's a great thing. And it's worth remembering because I think a lot of people sit down and they think, it's too late for me. I didn't do it. Why bother now?
Exactly.
And yeah.
No, and it's about making that change and then trying to make it habitual. So I was reading before this. In fact, today actually I've had a real Glynis Barber morning. So this morning, I was telling you before, I woke up and I was trying to find CBBS for my daughter, and I'm flicking around, and there you are, Dempsey and Makepeace, ITV4. I was like, there she is. There's Glynis.
Yeah.
So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, I'm sure people of a certain generation know exactly who you are. Like I showed you a picture to my mum and my dad, and they were like, yeah, that's Glynis Barber. She's like an absolute rock star. You were in Dempsey and Makepeace. I think the one I was watching today was from 1985.
Yeah. That's when I was doing it. Yeah. So that was a cop show. So, and that, I mean, I'd done sort of quite a few bits and pieces before then that had got me a little bit of recognition, but Dempsey and Makepeace sort of brought me into the public eye, and in its day at the time, it was a big success. Yeah. So it had a very big following in England, over Europe. It was huge in France and Spain and sort of countries around the world. So we only did 3 seasons over 3 years. So it is amazing that, 40 years later, people still talk about it.
Yeah.
But,
and it's still on.
It's still, well, do you know, for many years it wasn't. It was quite odd because it was so popular. And then ITV just stopped it. Everyone was saying, well, why aren't you making more? No, we're just going to stop it. I mean, can you imagine in this day and age having a hit show and not doing any more?
Yeah.
So for whatever reason.
How many years did it run for?
3.
Right, okay.
I mean, we only made 30 episodes.
Wow.
10 episodes a year. So we only did 30 episodes 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And
it's still, I can put it onto this morning and watch it.
Can you imagine a show today if you have a hit series going, I don't think we'll make any more.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just never happen.
No.
Because it's so hard to have a hit series. But that did happen. And then they sort of, maybe a couple of years later, they sort of half-heartedly, repeated a couple of them. And then they literally didn't repeat them for decades.
Wow.
And for no reason, because they repeat everything. But anyway, just in the last few years, now they've gone to the other extreme. So it's just repeated all the time.
Do you get royalties from this?
Yeah, but not in the old days when they repeated it, you sort of got your whole salary again, which would be very nice. But no, because it's like on ITVX or ITV2 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's minimal.
Yeah.
It's
nominal amount.
It's peanuts.
Yeah.
So, but a little bit.
Oh, well, it's a cracking show. I watched it this morning. I thought it was great. So it was just nice that I saw that this morning and then I knew you were coming on.
Funny. Yeah.
But so you've had kind of like, I suppose, the interweave with each other. You are so great actress. You've been in soaps. You've been in 3 of the biggest soaps.
I have. I am currently in Hollyoaks,
yeah.
but I had a year and a bit in EastEnders about 10 years ago, which, by the way, is when I started my website, Ageless by Glynis Barber, because I went on Twitter and I had just recently been on Twitter and people kept asking me questions. They said, well, you seem to be aging well, or what makeup are you using? And I was just inundated with people asking me questions about what I do and what I'm using. And I said, well, maybe I should start a website. And everyone, oh, yes, please start a website. Yeah. So it's something I never thought I would do. So,
and when was this? What year was this?
I think that was 10 years ago. So I think it was like in 2013.
This was like influencing, really, before it was kind of influencing.
I know. It was just a website. I mean, I was on Twitter, which, when Twitter was quite a friendly place.
Yeah.
Not where it is now.
No.
And so it was just a website and I did it and, I was just sharing my philosophy. And my philosophy is that beauty and aging well starts from within. So everything centers around your health. Mm-hmm. So to me, health is beauty. And if you're well on the inside, it's going to reflect in your energy, which is part of your persona. It's going to reflect in your skin, everything about you. If you exude health, to me, you exude beauty.
100%.
And putting sort of makeup or treatments or surgery or whatever on top of something that isn't healthy, to me, is a waste of time.
Yeah.
I'd rather be barefaced with healthy skin than pile makeup onto unhealthy skin.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's about just those small little things that you can make in your day-to-day life, your lifestyle choices, which compounded over time make up, like we were saying before, there's a big difference with people who've actually actively taken care of themselves since their 30s and people who haven't. And I think when you get to 40s, 50s, 60s, the gap starts widening. You really see who.
It does. And every decade, I remember getting to 40, I remember getting to 50.
Yeah.
And then getting to 60. And I think 60 is a real game changer.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of illnesses take decades in the making.
Yeah.
And a lot, it can come to fruition in your 40s, your 50s. But I think, once you get to your 60s, I think it's really important.
Yeah.
And I think the benefits of looking after yourself are so huge. And really my motivation is I don't want to be sick and I don't want to suffer.
No.
In any way. Do you know what I mean? So if there's anything I can do to ward off that, and if I can enjoy my life and be mobile and look good and have energy and feel good, to me, there's just nothing greater in life, really.
No, you're absolutely right. So take me through Glynis's perfect day. What would your kind of daily routine look like?
Well, my days vary a lot depending what I'm doing. So, if I'm filming or working. So, as I said, I'm in Hollyoaks right now. I don't film every day. I'll go through periods where I'm filming every day, and then sometimes I'll have a day off. I also do a lot of voice work. So I might be in a studio recording, or I might be at home working on Ageless, writing an article, doing my Instagram posts, which is, I'm sure takes a lot of work.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I am really, really busy. Almost too busy, because I sometimes feel like I'm running in the last year and a half, I've sort of been running 3 jobs, because obviously running the Ageless by Glynis Barber website and the YouTube channel is a tremendous, it is a full-time job, but I'm also film time. And like last year I narrated 20 documentaries.
Wow.
So, plus one has a family life.
Absolutely,
and things,
yeah.
life
You've got a bit
to
of
take out a
downtime.
dog.
Yeah, of course.
So it was actually a bit too much. It's been a little less crazy this year. In an ideal world, I'd like to have had a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Often doesn't happen.
No.
Often doesn't happen. And I like to get up, and first thing I would ideally like to exercise. So I do think exercise is very important. That has been a struggle for me in the last 18 months just because I'm so busy. But that's what I'd ideally like to do.
And what kind of exercise would you do on waking up?
So, I have a dog. So, walking her is not as much exercise as it should be, because she's now at the sniffing stage. So she just wants to walk a couple of inches and then sniff. But taking a nice long walk, I do think that walking is a great exercise. I think walking in nature and getting outside is really important. I think it's very good for your immune system. There's a lot of goodness and microbes coming off plants and trees and filling the air. And I think that light, especially in winter, that, the natural light of the morning is incredibly beneficial for us. So that's good. I also like to work out with weights, and, that's very important, especially as you get older, because we lose muscle mass. So just maintaining muscle mass is a struggle, and you have to work out with weights. I like doing yoga. So I try and at least do 1 yoga session a week. And then, a bit of cardio as well. I have to say, the pandemic has had a profound effect on my life, because everything closed down. I was one of the last people in the gym when no one was going to the gym. I remember taking a photo at the gym. I was the last man standing in a gym, and I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do if the gym's closed? And then by the next week, they were all closed. So I've sort of got out of the gym habit, which
Really?
I never thought would happen to me. And so I started, my husband and I started working out to YouTube videos, which were amazing. We bought some weights. So I've been doing that a lot. And I have to say that has become a hard one to break just because it's so convenient.
Yeah.
Just being at home, and because of my schedule and because I've been so busy and because I'm often traveling or I don't have time to drive to the gym, I've only earlier this year started going back to the gym. And to my horror, I have discovered I can no longer do the workouts I was doing before the pandemic, which was a real shock because I thought I'd kept my fitness up. But no, I haven't.
And what kind of classes do you do in the gym? Or?
Well, no, I was doing, working
weights?
out with free weights and doing, and I had this trainer, I don't have her anymore. And she wrote down a lot of sessions for me. And I'm looking at these sessions and I'm going, wow, I was really fit. They were long. I was doing it like 3 rounds of each exercise. And to my horror, I can't do them. So I've definitely lost some fitness. And I was shocked by that because I thought I was keeping it up. So anyway, but I mean, I don't have time to go back to the gym full time. But hey, I don't give myself a hard time about it. And because you mentioned earlier that you feel, people call you an extremist. So
they do, and all I do is go to the gym 3 times a week, and I'm an extremist, and I'm really not.
I don't believe in being an extremist, but I suppose it's from where the other person is standing.
Yes.
If somebody never does anything and they're completely sedentary, if you go to the gym 3 times a week, you could be an extremist. I don't believe in being obsessed about things, and I don't believe in giving yourself a hard time. So I think I have pretty high standards, but I do cut myself a lot of slack.
See, to me, you aren't an extremist in the slightest. I think you just live your life well, and you're educated on, you're literate in that way, and you're really into health, and you actively say you like seeking out the truth, which is absolutely amazing. You don't just take a headline for, what it might be in the newspaper. You actually, hang on a minute, no, let's take a look at this. So you actually do your own research.
I question everything.
Absolutely. And you find what works for you. Me personally, I don't find that anything extreme about that whatsoever. But, most people in my life think I'm like insane because I don't really drink, and I'm careful what I eat. I make sure when I do eat, I don't have breakfast like you.
Right.
So I'll probably go to about lunchtime, higher protein, like I'll have like a chicken salad or some eggs and chicken and broccoli, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm very kind of like strict with my daughter and my partner's kids. I'm like, McDonald's poison, no, we don't go there. And like everyone's like, oh, it's just all right sometimes. I'm like, well, why?
Yeah.
Like, no, I know it's awful.
Well,
and
I
I'm
think
not
you're
gonna
probably more
encourage that.
disciplined than me. So I do that. I mean, I do eat, the bulk of my diet is very healthy, but I also do indulge myself. So, I will drink wine. I mean, if I need to not drink for a while for whatever reason, then I'll do that. And I try and eat as healthily as possible. But, I do like a slice of cake.
Well,
and I will have it. And I like chocolate. And, if I'm going out for a lovely meal, I'll enjoy myself. So I do want to live my life as well. But the mainstay of my diet
the 90%.
Is so the 80-20 rule.
Absolutely.
The 80-20 rule is a really good one, I think.
Yeah. It's what you do 80% of the time that's actually going to matter.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I do not think I'm an extremist in the slightest. So it's nice to hear, your mantra as well. So, okay, so you would get up and exercise.
So I'd get up and exercise. And then, in an ideal world, do a bit of work. If I'm at home, that would probably be sitting at my computer. Obviously I have to do quite a lot of writing because of my website, or, filming videos for my YouTube.
Yeah.
And in an ideal world, I won't have eaten.
Yeah.
So, I do believe in intermittent fasting. So on an ideal day, I will have 2 meals that will have some very healthy protein, that will have lots of vegetables, a bit of fruit, some nice fat, and I won't snack.
Yeah.
That does not always happen. And when you're filming and you've got really long days, because often when I'm filming, I'll get up at 6 o'clock, and then we don't always stop for lunch at 1 o'clock. And when you're working, when you're working a long time, and then they'll often say, "Oh, we're just going to overeat. Lunch is at 2 o'clock today," and then I go, "Okay, this is too much. I'm now quite tired because I've been up for 8 hours, and I need to eat." So there are times. And sometimes I'll just see how I feel. I will have a little something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't need much. Even just like a boiled egg with some green tea, or I also buy keto granola.
Okay.
So it's got no grains in it. It's got no sugar in it. It'll have things like some nuts and seeds and coconut and, crunchy things like that. Maybe with a bit of yogurt or with a bit of almond milk or something.
I'm going to try keto granola.
With a bit of fruit in it, with some berries, So that can be nice. I would never have a heavy breakfast when I'm filming. So it would be something light.
Nice.
And everybody laughs at me at Hollyoaks because, I've been literally commuting from London for a year and a half. And when I come up every week, I don't eat in restaurants here. I don't eat in the canteen. I bring up all my food with me. When I get onto that train coming up, I look like a pack horse. Because I have my little suitcase for the week, and then I have this huge cooler bag or 2 cooler bags. And people going, they do have food in Liverpool. And I go, yeah, but they don't have my food. I literally bring up the contents of my fridge. I don't have time. I don't have time to order in food. When you're filming all day and, where I stay has got a little kitchenette and it's got a little fridge. And I do laugh because I've come up with this little cooler bag, but it's like the TARDIS. When I open it, so much food comes out, and I literally fill that fridge. And I laugh, and I think I can't believe I've just carried the entire. I've got half a dozen eggs, I've got some cheese, I've got a couple of meals I've cooked. I might have something I've baked. I've got yogurts, I've got vegetables, I've got salad.
I love this.
It's unbelievable.
You do do you have a day of meal prep before? Come up?
Yeah, what I do is on the weekend, I like on a Sunday night, if I'm cooking my dinner, I'll cook double,
right?
And I'll bring it with me. So I have I'll bring, salads are easy, omelets are easy, and I do love an egg.
Yeah.
So I always bring up half a dozen eggs with me because then 2 omelets, that's a meal. And because I'm not mad on the canteen food, it's really hard to find something healthy there. So I sometimes come up and I've got to supply myself 10 meals.
I feel
10 meals.
I feel you. Where was I not too long ago? And I was like, there's just nothing I can eat. Oh, sorry, I was at a children's play area. And I was like, there's nothing I can eat here. Yeah. It is just absolute beige crap. I was just like, I can't even eat there. I'm not going to.
I'd be miserable. And I do sometimes. Sometimes I don't make it. And sometimes I'm unprepared. And sometimes I'm grabbing something as I'm running out the door. I do try and be prepared, but sometimes I just don't make it. So, sometimes I do have to go and they have the odd salad or get a baked potato or something.
You get Deliveroo.
But if I thought, can you imagine if the last year and a half I had to live on Deliveroo and the canteen food, I would not be happy.
No.
I would be miserable. So even though it's huge effort for me, it makes me feel good and I feel like it's part of my self-care.
Yeah.
Because it's also hard being away from home, because don't forget I'm away from home as well. And I feel that I'm taking care of myself. And, I'll bring up things like, organic chicken bone broth or chicken soup, and I'll have that'll last me for 2 meals with, lovely sourdough bread or something. And that's not always easy to find anywhere. So
I feel like if anybody's listening to this and they are around the Chilwell area,
they're going to think I'm
got a
mad.
health food cafe, I think you should be hooking Glynis up with some great meals.
I know, help me. If anybody's in that area, please.
I'm sure there would be.
I need some help here.
Scousers are so friendly. They would be all over you to help, believe me. Yeah.
Oh.
Luckily, because by our office, we have Sparrow, McDonald's, Starbucks. It's just all fast food. Costa Coffee. There's nothing that's any good apart from there's a little independent, literally 3 doors down.
Yeah.
And I go in there and I say, this is what I want: chicken, eggs, and broccoli. They even weigh it, or spinach. They weigh it for me so I can track it correctly.
Really?
And they're just on it. They're great.
Right.
So you need to find one of them right next to Hollyoaks. I'm sure there will be.
Yeah. Well,
then you won't be like a pack horse anymore. You can just get out the train.
I mean, honestly, with the things I've travelled on that train with, it's like unbelievable.
Okay, so we've touched on your diet. We touched on exercise, great sleep. I'm looking at you now and your skin is literally radiant. So talk to me about what you do topically. Obviously, it comes from the inside. We know that.
Right.
But...
So because of Ageless, what has happened in the last few years is I am using so much different stuff.
Yeah.
So I do very much... I have a couple of brands that are my favorites. So I love Arc Skincare, and I have a little shop on Ageless, and I've put some of my curated favorites on there. Yeah. So I do have the Arc Skincare there. They have incredible serums.
Right.
They have a great array of serums, so I love them. And they have something called the Radiant Serum. Now, I grew up in Africa, and I grew up baking in the sun.
Yeah.
So a lot of people from South Africa, like me of my age, their skin is now awful. They're full of pigmentation. I actually have a lot of pigmentation, but I came to live in England in my 20s, so that probably saved my skin. And then I began getting pigmentation. I think a lot of it is hormonal. So I began getting a lot of pigmentation in my 20s, and it got to the point where it was so bad that if I put my face in the sun, I began to really get serious pigmentation. So I actually stopped putting my face in the sun in my 30s, in my early 30s. So I think that probably really helped, although I had already done a lot of damage. And I have pigmentation all over. So I love the Radiant Serum because it helps with pigmentation. I mean, there are lots of other things. And I always say to people, you've got to be very realistic about pigmentation because no product is just going to get rid of it. But especially at my age, pigmentation starts coming out more and more. It seems to, I think it comes closer to the surface of the skin.
Right.
And one of the most aging things for your skin is an uneven skin tone.
Right.
So this is a two-pronged attack. First of all, you need to tackle your pigmentation. There are radio frequencies and things you can do, but I tend to focus on the product. So I have found this Radiance Serum, which I absolutely love, which brightens your complexion. It's got a lot of vitamin C in and helps to fade the pigmentation. It does not take it away, but it does fade it. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And then, that mottled, so obviously I've just come from a set now. So I have my set makeup on. So I have foundation on. But I do think a good camouflage kit, if you're not wearing foundation. So I use that for under eye circles, and I also use it for any pigmentation. I get a bit red around my nose. So evening your skin tone is going to actually really brighten how you look and make you look more youthful.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like a heavy foundation, but I also think a light foundation, just evening your skin tone and really covering blemishes, redness and pigmentation is really key to how you look. So that's an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's something that I highly recommend. They also actually do, as I said, they do loads of just absolutely, I do love a serum.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, absorbed much more easily
than a moisturizer.
Because I love facial oils and I love facial serums. So their molecules are smaller than a moisturizer. So they're going to penetrate deeper. So you're going to have a deeper result from one of those. And they have a firming serum, which I use at night. And they also have a redness serum, which I found to be amazing because I'll suddenly wake up one morning and I've just got like a random red bump. And I have since discovered that it's a very mild form of rosacea because it'll stay there for like 10 days.
Right.
And I found with their red, I mean, I don't know on other people, but on me, when I have one of those and I put this redness serum on, it goes within 24 hours.
Oh,
so it's incredible.
Right. And this is ARC Skincare.
ARC Skincare.
ARC.
ARK.
Oh, okay.
And it's on my website. And then there's another brand that I absolutely love because it is so reasonable and incredible. In fact, I just did one of my Ageless YouTube videos recently was you don't have to spend much on skincare because skincare can get really, ARC is sort of a mid-range. It's not very expensive. It's a mid-range. It's not dirt cheap. It's a very good value though because the quality is incredible. But there's Garden of Wisdom. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Garden of Wisdom, every single product ranges, it used to be between 10 and 20 pounds. Now it's gone up to between 12 and 22 pounds. So that's on my Glynis Loves page. I have all the things that I love with links to it. So Garden of Wisdom, I'm telling you, right now when, the cost of living is really affecting so many people, this range is really worth knowing about. And as I said, I've done a whole YouTube video on them, so you can find it right on my YouTube channel. So their products, they have no packaging. I mean, they just have these little utility plastic bottles.
Yeah.
There's no money in any advertising, but they are the most effective products because they have everything, as I say, in the skincare, in this YouTube video is, as you're aging, you need 3 things. So peptides, an aging skin needs peptides. It's one of the few ingredients that are actually going to affect an aging skin and help you see a result. You need retinol. Because that is going to really help with collagen production. And, we all know that retinols are very good. And we need alpha hydroxy acid because that is the modern equivalent of exfoliating. So in my youth, I used to use these really rough scrubs that I absolutely loved. And I used to scrub. I mean, the damage I must have done.
Like 120 grade sandpaper.
Do you remember, well, you probably don't, but the Body Shop used to have these Japanese washing grains.
Right, no.
Literally,
you were literally nearly bleeding.
Like sand. I mean, I almost bled.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But an AHA does all that.
Yeah.
It dissolves away dead skin cells. It leaves your skin nice and smooth. Plus, it helps with collagen production. I've done another whole YouTube on AHAs because you have to find the right one. But those are the 3 things that you need. And you need active ingredients. And Garden of Wisdom has all of this. It's got beautiful facial oils and it's got serums and it's got peptides and it's got a really gentle retinol because I'm not good at tolerating retinol.
I was just going to say, so how many times a week would you use a retinol? Is it gentle enough to use like every day or?
Do you know that their Retistar retinol probably is gentle enough? But I probably only use it about twice a week. And then I might use the AHA twice a week. Those I do seem to be able to tolerate. And that's why my article and YouTube on that is probably worth watching because I describe the different ones and the different kinds of skin that they're good for. And it's important to get the right one. And Garden of Wisdom has the most incredible range of AHAs. Yeah. They really do. And they are so cheap. I mean, I think their retinol is £12. I mean, if memory serves.
It's
great. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's incredible. And they're only small bottles and you think, oh, it's not much. But you don't need much.
No.
None of their products do you need much. And
you're the 3rd person in the last 2 weeks who's talked to me about retinol. Actually, we had a skincare expert on last week, and I went to a talk in Leeds with another skincare specialist, and I was asking her about retinol because, unbelievably, as somebody who has as many facials as I do and uses as many products as I do, I actually do not own a retinol, and I'm at the age now where I absolutely should be.
It's probably the right age to start, but you have beautiful skin.
I need to. It won't be beautiful for long.
No, you actually have beautiful skin and very healthy looking. I can tell you have very healthy skin.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah,
it must be all
you really do.
It's that diet that I abstain from and the alcohol I abstain from, I think. Although saying that, I did have a drink on Saturday and it reminded me.
And how did it feel?
Well, I was sick.
It
reminded me why I don't do it.
How much did you have?
And not even that much. And every single glass I had loads of ice in it. Over the course of about a 6-hour period, I was like, and everyone went, you weren't even drunk. I was like, I know. Like, this is why I don't bother.
But you see, if you never drink, probably one glass is enough.
Oh, Christ. I was just like...
It's hard.
Yeah, it's just not for me. Just reminds me why I don't do it. And then I had to deal with the baby and I'm like, trying not to be sick, trying to do it. It was just absolutely the worst. I just thought, it's not for me, this life. No, they are... okay, so Garden of Wisdom, I'm going to check them out.
But, I'm always trying out different things.
Yeah.
So I only write about the ones that... I'm trying a lot of stuff that I never write about because I'm not that mad about it, to be honest. So I only write about the things that I like. But I am... because I remember the days before I had the website, I would have a product that I liked and I would use that for years until I decided for whatever reason to change it. Now, almost on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So funnily enough, I don't have a lot of consistency in my skincare. As I said, I mostly use the Arc and the Garden of Wisdom. So I sort of mix up those two, but I'm adding a lot of other stuff. And I would have thought my skin would have really suffered because of that. And yet it hasn't.
No, it looks fantastic.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know why.
You must get sent so many products to try all the time. It's actually, how can you give anything like loads of consistency, Yeah,
it's impossible. And when I started Ageless, I thought, well, this is the sacrifice I'll have to make because I have to try all these products. And I don't just use them once and go, oh, no, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I give everything a good go and I will use it for a good few weeks.
Yeah.
Because I think it's only fair.
Yeah, that you give it as a good run, really.
Yeah. So constant try. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know what this is going to do to my skin.
I like that you have mentioned like 2 very affordable products. There's some skincare out there. When I look at the ingredients, I think these are bold claims. I actually posted about this the other day. Charlotte Tilbury tells you that her magic balm it makes you look so much better in 28 minutes. And this bold claim was tested on 30 women. I thought, well, someone like Charlotte with billions behind her can do a better clinical study, on more than 30 women to make these kind of claims. And I actually use that moisturizer and hate it.
Well, if something, I would say that if a product is absolutely filled with chemicals, it's... what you have to weigh up, it may have some good technology in there and it may have some good active ingredients and that will be good for your skin. But one thing I tell you, this is my opinion because I know there are many people who won't agree with it. But in my opinion, if there are lots of toxic chemicals in that product, that will not be doing your skin any favors.
No.
Because your skin is very permeable and you will have toxins going into your system. And how is that any different to consuming junk food?
Absolutely.
And eating foods that are full of chemicals.
You also don't want to make your skin too thin as well. There's lots of women who strip like every other week. I
agree.
Like they want to strip it with very, very harsh chemical peels. And if you don't want to make your skin any thinner, it goes thinner as you get older anyway. You actually don't want that.
I do agree with that. And I thought that to myself, quite a long time ago, because I was very much into exfoliation. And I do like a bit of exfoliation, but I think it's important not to over-exfoliate because, as you say, as we get older, our skin does get thinner.
Yes, we don't want to ramp it up getting thinner any quicker because it's, your protective barrier.
It takes, as you get older, the reason is it takes longer to rebuild your cells and to replenish them. So if you're stripping them away all the time.
Yeah, you get some women who are just so harsh on their skin. I was looking at the CO2 laser, which is literally like a burns victim. And I was just like, wow. I mean, unless you've got some really deep scarring or something that you need to get rid of, I just think it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
So no, it actually being more brutal with your skin is not the answer. Maybe some nice fruit acid peels or something like that would be nice. And like you said, gentle exfoliation from some of the products that you use, maybe on a date, and cleansers.
Well, look, we do have rubbish on our skin, and we do get buildup, and you have dead skin cells, so it is good to get rid of them. And for me, as I said, I'll just use an AHA maybe twice a week on the nights that I'm not using a retinol, and then some nights I just won't do anything. And as I said, I do love a facial oil, and argan is known, and Garden of Wisdom does beautiful facial oils. They do that. And supposedly, and something that I actually love, the most anti-aging oil in the world, and also possibly the most, or one of the most expensive, is prickly pear seed oil.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And Garden of Wisdom does that as well. And that'll be at their more expensive range of 22. But when you go and you look at other makes and how expensive prickly pear seed oil is, that is a bargain.
Wow.
And it lasts for ages because you don't need much.
Wow. Okay. No, you're absolutely right. We had a skincare expert on last week, and she, again, I said, if you could only have like 3 hero products, she said facial oil.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm actually thinking I'm going to start getting into more oils and serums instead of like heavy moisturizers that can sometimes
all
clog
heavy
the pores.
moisturizer is a barrier.
Yeah.
It's a barrier, from moisture loss, which there's a lot to be said for. But to really make a difference in your skin, serums and oils is the way to go.
Okay, so if Glynis is on a desert island, what 3 things would you take with you in like your hero products? And it can be anything, skincare, makeup, anything to do with diet, exercise, anything, you name it.
Well, sunblock, a good sunblock for sure.
Is there any that you recommend that you love?
Yes, the one I like is called Evie.
Okay,
it's also on my website. Because it's a little different. I think people don't realize, sun protection creams go off very, very quickly.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that.
No.
So if you get to summer and you've used it, you've got half a bottle left and you take it out next year, it is not going to be as effective, if at all. And also the moment you sort of sweat or things, they come off. So Evie's sort of slightly different. It doesn't go off. You can keep it from year to year. And it's because of the way it comes out, it's completely protected from the air. So whatever is left in there is not going to go off.
Right.
You can keep it. So I love that. And it comes out as a mousse, and then you rub it in your hands and it turns into a very light cream, and you put it on. It works. It's got a different kind of technology, and it just works. It goes on, and it doesn't matter if you sweat or you get wet. It's going to stay in place for 6 hours. So if you're on a holiday and you're on the beach, that's really great. Or if it's just a hot day and you're walking around and you might get a bit sweaty. So it's really great. And it's very light because a lot of them are incredibly heavy, and I mean I have and I'm not saying that Evie is completely chemical free, but it was recommended to me by a lady who I hugely respect, Marie Reynolds, who also has the most beautiful skincare products, and she is an absolute alchemist and skin guru, and she said, I'm telling you, this is a good product.
Right.
And the way it works and everything, this is good for you. And I thought, so it does have some chemicals in, but the way it works.
Yeah, sun cream has to have a few chemicals in,
And I've tried the ones that are chemical free.
And they just don't work.
Let's be honest, having this thick white gunge in your face is not going to work for me.
No.
Because it just feels awful. And I want one that I can wear, on a summer's day walking around. It's imperative that you have it on.
You need it for protection. I think
you
that's
do
the,
need
that's,
it for protection.
That's the bargaining, the payoff actually. That's what you need, that protection. That's something people go on about chemical-free skincare. They always ask me actually, what would you put on your daughter? And I'm like, you know what? I've seen loads of studies by Which and some newspapers who say that some of the supermarket brands are actually quite good in compared to some of these mineral brands, which have just not got the protection there.
Right.
So actually some of the ones that aren't chemical free are probably going to be the best in terms of.
Well, exactly. And I mean, Evie, it has some, but it's like, it's endorsed by the Vitiligo Society.
Oh, right.
So it's very good for sensitive skins. It's very gentle. People don't have a reaction to it. So I think it's really,
I'm
really
look into that. Okay.
A good one.
So a sunblock.
Yes,
right?
on a desert island, I'd have a sunblock. I'd probably want a book of some kind because much as I love nature and go swimming and fishing or whatever, I would want something to keep my mind occupied.
Yeah.
So I'd want a really nice thick book that.
What would you go for?
That's okay to reread
adventure or psychological thriller?
It's got to be a book that you can reread. So a book that's got hidden depths and things you can read into. So what would that book be? I'm not quite sure. Maybe a factual book.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So nice book.
I have to think about that. Okay, so that's 2. What would the third one be? I mean, I'm presuming I can find food on the island and water. I'd like my dog.
Oh, a friend. He'd help you hunt as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know about that, but yes, that would be lovely.
100% the dog. Yeah.
Sunblock, a book, and my dog.
Oh, perfect. Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up as well. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to us, Glynis.
It's a pleasure.
Honestly, if I can look like you when I get to your age, I am just going to be so happy. I think you're not just like a pro-age warrior, but you're somebody who's like a great inspiration. I think the way you live your life is fantastic. I really love the fact that you're on YouTube and you're like helping all these ladies with your platform that you've created as well. So well done you. I think it's absolutely brilliant. We will put a link to your website and your YouTube on this video, and all the products that Glynis has talked about, I'm sure you'll be able to find on your website too. I'm going to go and check them out. But yeah, thanks so much for coming. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks.